that opened up my world to video again, and I don't remember what I started with at that point, but I started going back out to the conservation area again, and I got pictures and video of birds, feeding the birds out there, birds eating out of my hand, stuff like that. I had my video back. I was happy. I was happy. And at some point, I started having issues with my car. There were a few things that were going. On the rear axle, there's a steel bar that goes around the stabilizer or something. Where it mounts to the frame and to the axle, it's got rubber bushings, spacers, whatever. Well, one of those rubber things came out, so I hit a bump, and there was a really loud rattle in the back, which wasn't really a safety issue or anything, but it was annoying. And one of my struts, I think it was the left one at the front, the bearings were seizing up on it. So if I turn a sharp left and I'd start to straighten out, it would be a stiff spot. It wouldn't straighten out completely. So if I let go of the steering wheel, it'll turn a bit to the left. And to combat that, I'd have to go over to the left side of the road and turn to the right to release it. That was really not a good thing, but I could deal with it. But the other problem I was having is that my income wasn't great at the time, right? So maintenance was kind of suffering a bit on the car, and it went a long time, like, without maintenance. So it was that was another thing I really liked about that car. The EGR valve would start sticking. So if you don't know, an EGR valve is exhaust. I think exhaust gas recirculation. So basically what it does is it takes some of your exhaust and recirculates it back into the motor to get re-burnt a second time. I think that's what it is, exhaust gas recirculation. But anyways, it's just this little part with a plunger inside it on a spring. And basically the farther down you have the gas pedal, the farther the spring compresses and opens up, and the more it comes through the motor. Well, that's seized up on it. And what would happen is if I put the gas, like, let's say I passed somebody, put the gas pedal down, this thing would open up, and then when I let off on the gas, it would stay open, and the engine would sputter and sputter and sputter, and the check engine light would come on. And so there's two engines for that car. There's the 3.1 liter, which I had, and a 3.6 liter. EGR valve for the 3.6 liter was $100 and something. EGR valve for the 3.1 liter was over $300. So I got what was it? Carburetor cleaner, I think. Take it off. Spray this carburetor cleaner in there. Let it soak, and then I take a toothbrush or a wire brush or something and just scrape out all the built up carbon. And then it's good to go for another couple months till it plugs up again or seizes up again, and I have to do it again. It got really annoying, but it's either that or spend $300 that I didn't have to replace it. And I didn't see a point in replacing something that I could just keep cleaning out. So I had that going. It was just so many things that were just little things, no, not really little things, but big things that are just starting to pile up. And then at some point my starter started acting up. I get to a store somewhere and I turn the key and nothing. Just a click. So I'd have to get out and start pounding on the solenoid to wake it up, try it again, and just keep pounding on it until it decides it wants to start. So that was working. And that became a problem. More and more and more. So, sorry, I'm distracted again. So I got to the point where, okay, I need to do something with this. And something changed, I'm not sure what it was, but when it would start, when you try to start your car, the solenoid pops the plunger out, the gear on the end that engages with the ring gear on your motor, and it spins. And it stays popped out until you let go of the key, and then it comes back in and disengages. Well, what was happening is the plunger would pop out, it would start spinning and then come back in, but still spin. So I'd have like momentary contact with the motor, so I'd have to do it several times until it finally started right. So that started happening. And I was out at the Elm Park Conservation Area one day and trying to get this thing going, and I started smelling burning plastic. I was thinking, what the heck now? So the car's not running. I'm trying to get it running. Sitting there in the parking lot, and I smell this, and I see smoke coming out from under the dashboard. Oh no. I've been through a car fire before. I don't want to experience that again. So the first thing I did was I put the car in neutral, and I'm trying to push it out into the parking lot because I got parked cars around me. I didn't want to, if my car burned, I didn't want it to, take out the cars around me. So as I'm pushing it out, a couple guys just pulled in, and they helped me with it, and they had bottles of water with them, and they managed to get the fire out. Just the insulation underneath the dashboard was what was burning, like the dryer lint type stuff. But they got the fire out, and I sat there for a bit and just made sure, and everything seemed fine. So I was, hey, cautiously, try again. And it only took a couple of times. I got the car started. So again, I just sat there for a bit and made sure. So I'm driving down the road, and I still got that. Once you get the smell of burning plastic in your nose, it does not go away. I can still smell it. And concerned, right? I keep looking over, and I'm looking over the dashboard, making sure everything seemed fine. So I'm heading down the road, and something caught my eye. I look over at the center console. I can't remember how it was. My car, it was kind of like a bench seat, but it was a split bench seat. The driver's side seat was wider than the passenger side, but the two were together. It's like a bench seat, but it's split, so you can move each one individually. But they're right up against each other. There's nothing in between them. And the armrest, the center armrest with the flip-out coffee holder that I was talking about, is actually connected to the driver's seat. So there's nothing in between them. But on the floor, you get the center console that comes down, and it's got two vents. I think it's got the radio in it. And then below that, there's another coffee holder. It's like a CD tray, like a CD player. You push the button and it comes out. You can set your coffee in there. And then under that, it's got like an open area for storage, like a storage container type thing. And then there's got a little bit more that comes out after that. with these vents on the side, for if you got your heat on or air conditioning or whatever, it blows on your legs and does what it's supposed to do. So something caught my eye, and I wasn't sure what it was. I looked down, I didn't see anything, so I ignored it. And I saw it again. I looked down, and there's this little puff of smoke. There's a little black spot on the carpet, where the center hump comes up, right on the side of it. There's this little black spot, and a little wisp of smoke coming off it. I'm thinking, what the heck, right? And then as I'm looking at it, I see this another drip of burning plastic come down. I think, oh, for crying out loud. So I immediately pull over, and as soon as I pull over, it accelerated. It just burning plastics just dripping down, and all the smoke starts coming out the defrost vents up on the dashboard. I'm thinking, oh great. I don't have anything with me to put it out with. There's nobody around this time. There's like a farmer's field on this side, a farmer's field on this side. There's nobody around. So I think, oh wonderful. So I had two cameras with me that day. I had my Canon and my Fuji. I grabbed them. I grabbed my sweater, which I had with me, and my cane. I was walking with a cane at that time. The boy's father actually made it for me for Christmas one year. That was pretty cool. That was a heartfelt present. I was impressed with that. So I take the stuff out of the car, and then I come back, and no, there's nothing I can do. It's burning now. There's nothing I can do about it. So I'll call the fire department, trying to explain 911, trying to explain where I am. I don't know the name of the road. I know my way around everywhere. I just don't know road names. So here I am. I am west of, I can't think of the name of the road. It's a north-south highway. I can't think of it. I'm thinking Gray Road 3, Gray Road 6, something like that. I don't remember exactly now. But I'm just west of that, and I am 2 or 3 concessions south of Highway 9, I think it was. I think it's Highway 9 that goes through Hanover. 4 and 9 or something like that. I don't remember. But trying to explain it to them. And they want an address. I said, well, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I said, there's a house down the road a bit. I can walk down there and get it. So that's how I started doing. And I lost cell signal. So, okay, no point in calling back. It's just going to happen again. So I keep walking, got the number. Called 911 back, got the same person, I got the address. And just as I gave it to them, first fire truck come over the hill. They were fast. It was Newstadt Fire Department. They actually got there pretty quick. I was impressed. So by this point, the windshield had already broken out, and there's 8-foot flames coming out. And I love that car. Of all the cars I've had, that was my favorite car. I loved it so much. And the only thing I can think of was trying to start it repeatedly over and over for such a long time. I think maybe the wires overheated. That's the only thing I can think of. It's not common for that particular car to burn. There are other cars that are more susceptible to it, like the Fieros, for example, little rear engine car or mid-engine, whatever they are. Those things are susceptible to burn. I've never heard anything about luminous. So I'm thinking that's the only thing I can think of. So either the guys that were there the first time never got it out completely, or, because like I said, it only took me a couple tries to start it the second time, or just those 2 times the wires were already in a state where maybe the insulation's already burnt off them and they were shorting or something, I don't know. Or it could have been a completely unrelated issue, right? But I'm thinking it had to be from trying to start the car. Something overheated somewhere and melted. That's the only thing I can think of. But I was so depressed. And it's funny because here I am. I got 2 cameras with me. I take pictures and video of everything around me. People, what they're doing. If there's an accident or a fire somewhere, I got no problem with that. But to actually take pictures of my own car burning, I couldn't bring myself to do it. I don't know if it was because I was so depressed about it or if I was shocked or what, but it was actually the cop that showed up. He was the one that suggested it. He saw my cameras. He says, "You get any good pictures?" I says, "I haven't. I can't." He says, "Well, if you're gonna, now's the time, right?" Because the cop got there before the fire. I forgot about that. I just asked after I got as I was calling 911 with the number, that I saw the police car coming down the road, and just as I gave him the number, that's when I turned around and I saw the fire truck coming. So the police car actually got there first. Forgot about that. And he told me, he says, "Well, if you're gonna, now's the time, right?" He convinced me to do it. That's the only reason I got pictures of it. And the cop suggested I do it. He kind of urged me to, I guess. It was kind of weird that I can do other people's misfortunes, but not my own. It was just, I don't know if there's a reason for that or not. But it was just kind of weird. So that really sucked. That ended a lot for me, and kind of set me up for the next phase of my life, I guess you could say. Probably the best way to do it. I no longer had my freedom of going where I wanted to, and it kind of... The worst part about... Like I said before, when I first bought the car, it wasn't that old, and I bought it used for $2,000, so it's not a high value resale, I guess you could say. So the insurance company only gave me $941, and apparently the only reason I got that much is because I just put a new engine in it. So I didn't get a lot for it. I didn't really get enough to get a decent car after that. I got billed from the fire department. It was $400 per half hour per attending vehicle. So they had 2 fire trucks there, so I had this $800 bill, which the insurance company paid for. I told my insurance agent about it. She says, "Oh no, we'll pay for it, send it to us." Okay. So that wasn't an issue, thankfully. But now, here I am, and of course, I got the cop gave me a ride home, so pulls up in front of the house and I get out of the car. It was kind of embarrassing. At least I was in the front seat. So just kind of look around and say, "Hey, the neighbor's watching," right? But like I say, that kind of set me up for the next phase of my life, next chapter.